This is the methods, functions, and procedure activity. We're going to be looking at all 4 languages today. So I'll start with C# and then go through the other 3, Python, Java, and then JavaScript. I will assume that you have already done the research. So if you look down at the instructions, it says research the differences and similarities between methods, functions, and procedures. It also says make sure to learn if there are any declaration or keyword differences between those in the 4 different languages. If you have not done that, go ahead and do that now. Put me on pause and then come back to this, and I'm going to dive into a few things that are interesting about these 4 languages and the differences between functions, procedures, and methods. So let me start off with C#. Here we have an example C# class that has 4 different functions, methods, or procedures. Number 1 and number 2 are both procedures, technically speaking, because they return void. They're not returning any value. That is definitionally a procedure. Looking at 3 and 4, each of these functions are returning a value, so they are definitionally functions. So 1 and 2 are procedures because they don't return anything or return void, and 3 and 4 return something, so therefore they are functions. In C#, we can't have a function outside of a class. Therefore, all 4 are also methods. So that's the C# look at things. Let's move over to Python now. So in Python, I've got, again, the 4 same functions, but I've arranged them differently inside a class and outside of a class. So number 1 and number 2 are both still procedures because they're not returning anything. In fact, I'm not doing anything in these. So these are both procedures because they return nothing. Number 3 and number 4 are functions because they do return some value, and we can see that here. So again, definitionally, 1 and 2 are procedures, 3 and 4 are functions. Now, beyond that, 3 and 4 are methods because they belong to the class myClass. Number 1 and 2 are not methods. These are procedures only, and they are root level. So we can do that in Python. We can declare functions or procedures at the root level and not have them be methods. They are methods when they are inside a class. So that's our look at Python. Let's move over to Java now. In Java, very similar class to what I had in C#. 1 and 2, again, are procedures for the same reason. They're returning void or they're not returning anything. Same thing. Similarly, 3 and 4 are functions because they return values. And then finally, again, all 4 of these are methods. In Java, similar to C#, we can't have a function or procedure outside of a class. Therefore, all functions and procedures are methods. Finally, let's look at JavaScript. So JavaScript works a little bit more like Python. Again, number 1 and number 2, even though we use the function keyword, these are both procedures because we're not returning anything at the end of these functions. There's no return statement that's returning a value. So these are procedures. Number 3 and number 4, because they're returning values, these are technically functions. And similar to Python, number 1 and number 2 are not methods because they're not inside a class. But number 3 and number 4, because they belong to the class myClass, they are also methods. So just like in Python, JavaScript can have functions or procedures that are root level, but they can also have methods. So that sums up the differences between functions, methods, and procedures for the 4 different languages.